Good morning, everyone. We appreciate you signing in. There's several people that'll still be coming into the call today. We do have a lot to cover, so we'll be getting started shortly, but I'd love it. We'll have a little exercise in a moment. If you can tell us who you are, obviously we see your names in the panel box, but if you can tell us maybe what agency you're from, who you're representing today, perhaps you're a parent, maybe it's a state agency. We'd love to know who's in our webinar today, so please share that in chat. I do want to remind you that if you are having any kind of technical difficulty as we start out today, you can chat with the host. That's Kinsey Rowland today. She's with O'Neill and she'll be answering any questions. So thanks so much. Katie, love seeing you in the chat. Appreciate you guys starting to introduce yourselves. We'll be starting in just a minute. Good morning. We're going to get started. We're right on the top of the hour, and we've got a lot of great material to cover today. Just to make sure you're in the right place, we are having our third main topic in the Discovering Abilities series. This is building a good recruitment plan. So we want to make sure that you're in the right place. We do want to recognize also the Louisiana Developmental Disabilities Council. They're our partner, and I just want to give a shout out to them today for such great support and really appreciate being a partner. And moving forward, we're looking forward to a lot of other great deliverables with Louisiana. My name is Laura Schroeder, and I'll be the producer today. I'm mostly going to be supporting the panel, but I will be available in chat if you wanted to chat with me. I am the content strategist and producer for O'Neill Communications. I do also want to recognize O'Neill as our represented behind the scenes is Kinsey Rowland. She's going to be answering any questions. I mentioned that earlier. Please feel free to use the host and panel drop down to communicate with Kinsey at any time during the session today if you have questions. We want to move forward, and I did want to bring to your attention that we do have registration openings still available for our upcoming. We do have another repeat of this session today on Thursday. We're going to be repeating the same session. So if you enjoy the session today, please share the registration link, which is in chat. Please share that with your colleagues and friends. They can come on Thursday to hear this same topic. We have May and three more webinars in June. Please take the time today to save the registration link or even go to the registration link and register. You can register for all of the sessions. It's often really difficult to attend all of them, but you'll have those links in chat. Those links in your email box, so you can sign in any of those days that you're available. So please make sure and do that. We'll share the link again at the end of the session today. I do want to mention, and I started off today, that we are going to be interacting today. We want this to be a learning community. We know that many of you are stakeholders and have a personal connection to this topic. We want to hear from you in chat. Please interact with your presenters today with questions, comments, or stories. So please use the chat box. Also, I think it's always great if you take a minute to give some love to your presenters. Use the emoticons down at the bottom of your screen if you see something, hear something that really resonates. Also, I want those of you that have signed in a little bit later, please make sure that you tell us who you are. We want you to use chat to tell us maybe what agency you may represent. You may be here as a personal advocate for yourself or others, maybe a parent. So please share in chat with us who you are and maybe where you're from. Each of our panelists today are going to introduce themselves, so I'm not going to take too much time, but I really just wanted to give recognition to these folks. They've put a lot of extra work outside their jobs to really making this great today. So not only do I want to welcome them, I also just want to throw a big, great thanks their direction this morning. So our host for the series, if any of you have attended any of our webinars prior to, which started in March, Jeff Arseneaux is our host. He's not a stranger in this field. He's going to be leading the discussion, entering and interacting with our panelists. I'll let Jeff tell you a little bit about himself as we get started today. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Jeff. Thank you again, everyone, for coming today. We really appreciate your attendance.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, O'Neill. Thank you, Louisiana DDC. What a tremendous honor to be hosting this very important topic that I feel like we're making some headway with. Real quick, I'd like to introduce myself. I was in management, retail, and distribution for 20 years of my life in South Carolina. I relocated back to Louisiana, where I took the opportunity to do some soul searching, and that began a journey and using my background as a tool to move the needle as it results employment in the disability community. So I'm really excited to be here. I'm actually going to be in Monroe at the end of May to do a keynote for a large business. So looking forward to get back to Louisiana for a few hours anyway. So what are we doing here? And what do we want to? I think the big thing about this seminar is let's get involved. Let's use the chat. Let's read these objectives. Let's really find out what we can do as a community to move the needle forward in this critical topic. And I, for one, I'm really excited for this seminar in particular because I don't know any of y'all, you know. And Laura has told me a lot about y'all, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from each and every one of y'all. So let's remember one thing to look at the agenda. We got 3 or 4 more seminars, so take a little peek at that. Without saying any more, I have the honor of allowing Johnny to tell me a little about, Johnny and Alec to tell me a little about the program for successful employment. Johnny, tell me a little about yourself.
Thank you, Jeff. As Jeff mentioned, my name is Johnny Manela. I am the director for the Program for Successful Employment here at Baton Rouge Community College. I've actually been with BRCC for just shy of 10 years in a variety of different capacities. I accepted the role of director for PSC in November of 2019. And since then, I have pushed to make the program better and actually get a lot of recognition within the community itself. The program is growing in popularity, as it is in a lot of the other schools and programs in the state of Louisiana. I'm happy to say that our new fall class, I actually had to turn off applications in January, 8 months before the fall semester, because of the amount of applications we've received. And we already have 8 applications for spring of 23 and 2 applications for fall of 23. Our main focus in our program is to get young people that have a variety of different disabilities job ready. And so our program is 2 years, and our first year is focused on more academics, where we teach them to be job ready in a variety of different ways, like customer service, financial literacy, Also things though like self-advocacy, self-determination to prepare them for that real work, the real life work. Our second year is mainly focused on finding them employment out in our community. We do have one student that works on campus, but I am a firm believer of push, push, push. And we do push our students out in the community. I look for jobs, as I call them, that are non-stereotypical of somebody with disability. So I'm not looking for fast food type restaurants, not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm looking for somewhere that's nurturing, where our students can grow, and our hope is lifelong employment. So one of the huge partners we just began working with is Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center. So that will be huge for us. We have other companies, we have grocery stores, we have IT firms, we have graphic design firms that we're working with, jobs that people with disabilities would never have more than likely been able to secure. And the way I'm finding these jobs are mainly just by networking, people who know who I am, who may have somebody in common. Funny story about a company called Vivid Ink, which is a large graphic design firm. The owner's wife and my wife were in the same Bible study class, and she actually hooked us up together. And now I have 3 students that are working there. And I just see that that is going to grow and grow as our students are performing phenomenally. And it's been just a great program. One thing I like to share with parents is, although I'm the director, I am also a parent. And my son completed the program in May of 2020. Alec, would you like to say anything about yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm Alec Reed. I was in the program with Jonathan. I graduated with him at the same time. Through PSE, I was able to acquire a full-time job at the Department of Treasury that I absolutely love. And PSE has definitely been a strong asset for my life, and it should be for anybody else who want to use it.
Thank you, Alec. So Alec, tell us a little bit about your beginning. I know that you started at Oak Point, but share with us a little bit about how you got on with Oak Point and your experiences there.
Oh well, I applied about to be out of high school. I needed a job, and so I applied for Oak Point because it was in my local community, and I had my first interview went so well that I had a second interview, and eventually I was hired in May of 2016, and it was definitely helpful in my job journey because I had to grow from a little boy to a young man, and Oak Point had a huge factor in that.
Right. So you mentioned that you graduated from PSC in May of 2020. We can see you there in the front row to my left, and my son is actually on my right. And tell us a little about some of the things that you learned in PSC, and tell us about the friends and so forth that you have, as a result of our program.
Basically, in PSC, I learned a lot about like how to have good customer service, how to be aware of workplace safety, and advocate for myself and be determined and never give up, never quit. And the friends I made, all 3 in the front row, including your son Jonathan, and then the one right behind me and the one right behind Jonathan, we kind of have a sixum, as I like to call it. They've definitely been a tremendous asset to my life, and they've helped me learn various things about other people with disabilities. As a kid, I was never really friend with anybody with disabilities, but definitely learned a lot through them. So I'm definitely appreciative of them.
Appreciate it. So we know in your journey, one of your internships here with PSC was at DOTD. So tell us a little bit about what you did there and the things that you learned and so forth.
I definitely learned how to communicate with customer through the phone. Was definitely a transition for me. It was a lot of trial and error, but I definitely will say that it was a huge asset to my journey as I learned to get up. Kind of took me out my comfort zone a little bit, but it had helped me with my current job at more learning off it, an off it job and all that. And, and also I had a lot of support from people there. Coworkers were amazing. Bosses were amazing. So it was definitely a huge step in the right direction toward my journey.
Right. So we all know that COVID kind of reared its ugly head in 20. Tell us how you remain motivated during this time when a lot of us had to stay home and things were definitely changed for all of our lives. Tell us a little bit about that, how you persevered, and again, what kept you motivated during this time.
Good news was that I never was not employed when during COVID. I was always employed. The different jobs I've had were definitely challenging, but I definitely needed that time to grow personally and professionally in the workforce.
Great, great. So we know through your journey, you are now with the Department of Treasury. So tell us a little bit about that and how you've transitioned to this new job.
It definitely been the best job I've ever had thus far. I mean, the bosses are completely understanding. They're completely accepting, and they're very patient. And I, and I only have like stability, and it's just a great place to work. The people are nice, the atmosphere is nice. Not it it high pace, but not like super high pace. So I've definitely enjoyed the job a lot.
Alec, what would you like to share with other young people that may be looking for jobs or to other employers that may be on this presentation?
For the employer, look at the ability, not the disability. And for peers, never give up, never persevere, don't get discouraged, and keep fighting and keep working as hard as you possibly can.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Alec, can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, sir.
Real quick. Was it ever hard? You keep saying that don't give up. Was it ever difficult not to give up?
Oh, definitely, definitely. There were many days of every job I've had that I wanted to give up. Oh, no doubt. And I would be lying to you if I said that I didn't. But it better than not. It better to keep fighting, even the tough times, even through want to give up, even when you want to quit. It it will all work out in the end.
Thank you so much for that. And it was a pleasure hearing it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So great question on why are programs like PSC important? Well, I firmly believe that if there were not programs like this, students potentially would sit in front of the TV, play video games, and really not live to their fullest potential. As a parent, when my son was in 10th grade, we thought the very same thing. Now, what's next? What do we do from here? Thankfully, the program for successful employment developed between those 2 years, and my son joined these programs. But the students are learning a lot of academic things, again, to have them job ready. I kind of touched a little bit on that, the advocacy, the self-determination, can kind of give you a story. We had a young man that started at Vivid Inc. and was going to be in binary and shipping and mentioned that he has love for computers. Well, he now works with invoices instead. and is by the computer inputting invoices and taking care of things like that. I don't believe he would have had that drive had he not learned how to advocate himself through through one of the classes that we do offer. As I mentioned, I think everybody wants to be a part of society and contribute. Programs like this just foster that. And again, I am looking for jobs for lifelong employment, not something temporarily, not something that may be stereotypical. So we really push for jobs that they never would have dreamed of. I get calls from parents who will tell me, I never would have dreamed he would have been able to do this, or she. And I said, and that's why we're here, because we will push them in ways that you may not have. We have a young man that started working in a bakery, mainly just kind of bagging bread and so forth. He now decorates cakes, and a comment from his employer was, he is decorating as well as our so-called professionals here at our store. So the students are challenged and they are rewarded for their persistence, as Alec mentioned. And I just can't imagine, why more and more areas and schools are not getting into programs like PSC, because it is definitely life-changing.
Johnny, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
What's the link between their job and what they want to do? Do you go to them and say, what is it you want versus what you're good at? How do you combine the two?
That's a great question. So part of our, once we interview students and they are accepted, and we do interview them, so it is, it's not an open admissions program. But once they get into the program, we do a variety of evaluations on them to try to determine their area of interest. And we do our best to try to find something that they are interested in. Of course, with things being limited, we don't always hit the nail on the head, but we try to find things that we think that they would be interested in and that they would be interested in. So if I get an employer with a potential job or jobs, then I work very closely with our lead instructor, who gets to know the students very well that first year. So she has a better sense than I do, because I'm kind of behind the scenes and doing a lot of administrative things. And she helps guide us on what students she feels would be most successful. And we don't just say, hey, this is where you're going to work. We do reach out to them and say, hey, Alec, would you be interested in something like this? And then I also reach out to the parent, because who knows a child better than the parent, and say, we have a job at so-and-so. We think that they would be good. Can you give us your thoughts? So we work as a partner, not only with the students and us, but also mom and dad, and also the employer, because we don't want to put a student in the wrong place. Are we perfect? Of course not. But we are pretty close. I'm happy to say that we do, we are quite successful in placing them in the right place. And I do keep following up with the parents, because the student will typically tell the parent more so than they'll tell the employer. So if a student is unhappy, then we basically need to be extremely flexible and try to find something else. And then we just kind of go from there.
And the reason why I ask you that is, so many times I think, reality is we have to go to work. And even if it's not something that I definitely want to do, if it's the right fit, sometimes I got to give it a try and do my best to succeed.
Yeah. And we've had students who are like, I'm not too sure. And so, we will say, well, let's try it. Let's see. And then they'll be surprised and they'll go, you know what? I really like doing this. And so they continue to be successful at it. We have students that have graduated that are still working where we originally placed them. And those employers are waiting for the next round of students to move into the internship phase. And we kind of go from there. So I kind of reach out every semester, and especially to my current partners, and say, hey, the new semester is rolling around. We'll have new students to place. Do you want to place anybody else? And usually the answer is yes. It may be one, it may be two. I had one employer that wanted three. And so that's awesome. And that's kind of the way we kind of roll with it.
All right, I got one more question for you, and then we'll move on. we touched on this. I'm sorry, go. Do you ever get any pushback from family members?
Of course, we sometimes have parents who, don't really care for the position, that kind of thing. And so we will, we're a partnership as far as we're concerned. And so we do, work with them if there's a pushback, and maybe we have to find another job, and we'll do that. But I can definitely say, as a parent myself, some of the things that we've learned is you've got to have support for your child. You've got to be behind them. You've got to back them. If they don't have the persistence, you need to be there for them for that. You need to help keep them motivated. You need to let them know, especially as they get closer to high school, there are other options for them, and there are programs where they can further their education. I mean, we've learned a lot in doing that. I mean, my son now is going to Brcc. He takes a 3-hour class every semester. So this semester he's in Introduction to Social Work. He took psychology last semester. So we have always pushed our child, and that's definitely something that I recommend as a parent. But we have learned that Jonathan can do way more things. That's my son, way more things than we ever would have dreamed of. And I wanted to hear that from parents as well. Like, I never would have thought that our student could, my child could get that far.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Would you mind addressing the question in the chat before we end your presentation?
Sure. So the question is, does BRCC have housing? Unfortunately, we do not. We are a community college, so we are a commuter school. There are programs in the state of Louisiana where they do get to live on campus. UL would probably be our closest one there in Lafayette. So their program is a little bit different, where the students do live and eat on campus 24/7 and so forth. But we do not. So our students come in just like any other students. They take classes, they leave. Regarding on how far we look past the job, we try to keep up with them. Our focus, of course, we've got students coming in and moving into that phase. So we do our best to try to keep up with them. As I mentioned, a lot of them, our employers will hire additional people, so we can still touch base. I have students who actually will reach out to me as well. I have a young man who's working on getting in the automotive technology program. So he reaches out to me all the time, telling me about tests and so forth. How are you doing? I'm Facebook friends with a lot of them. And so I do ask and reach out, or if one of them pops into my head, I'll call the parent and say, hey, how's Johnny doing? And that kind of thing. So I don't have a designated time frame, but we do continue to kind of watch out for them and see. And they do reach out to us as well. And we try to keep that communication open as much as we possibly can.
All right, Johnny, thank you all that. Do you have anything to share about what you have learned as a parent?
Yeah. Again, finishing high school is not the end. I think it's just a new beginning. And so programs like this allow students with a disability to push themselves and go much further. As a parent, I've learned, again, Jonathan can do so much more than we ever would have dreamed of. And we hear that story from parents all the time. I never would have thought, or I'm concerned about. And as a parent, in talking to a parent, I try to reassure them, that they can do it. You just have to push them, and they may not have been pushed as much as we pushed our child. But I've learned that you've got to be there, stay involved with them, move them to the next step. As I mentioned, Jonathan takes classes at BRCC just like any other student, and he takes them online, and that works for us, and it works for him, in addition to him working, in addition to his volunteer work and so forth. So he's never idle, and I want him to remain busy. I want him to continuously learn. And as a parent, I've learned that is possible. And Jonathan looks forward to the next semester and what class he's going to take. And you just have to be there and, push them to their limits. And I think you'll see great success from them that you never would have dreamed of.
Wow, Johnny. Never idle. I want to thank you for that powerful presentation. We are never idle. Wow. At this time, I can't wait to hear about Project Search. Ms. Rutkowski, can you tell me a little about you and Project Search?
Sure. Welcome, everybody. My name is Susie Rutkowski, and I'm the co-founder and educational specialist in Project Search. Project Search is about 22 years old. There are some similarities between Project Search and the last program that was presented by Johnny, but ours is more work-focused. And if I could just go on with the slides, I'll get on with what's Project Search. So this is our mission. We started 22 years ago, and our first class was actually the 1998-99 school year. And we found this quote, and we think it's very applicable to everything that we do. And it says, people with disabilities have the right to choose a path toward education and employment, while freedom of choice is given, the right to work is earned. And we feel that way very strongly, and we feel that our students need training and preparation. And so that's actually what Project Search is all about. Next slide. So what is Project Search? It's a one-year internship program where students with disabilities intern in a large quality host business in their community. We started with one program at Cincinnati Children's Hospitals, and now we have 663 programs in 48 states and 10 countries. It's a total workplace immersion for the students because they don't go to high school anymore. They are in their last eligible year of high school. So they might be 19, they might be 20, and they're at that host business for a whole year. They do 3 10 to 12 week internships during that year in different areas to gain competitive skills and then find a job. Next slide. Sorry, I'm not used to having somebody else do my slides. So I wanted to talk a little bit about partners because Project Search is built on partnerships. We always partner with a host business, and it's always one of quality, such as Dow. I'm going to talk about Dow for a minute. We have, I think, 8 programs in different Dow locations, but we also partner with schools to identify our candidate pools and our interns. We also partner with state vocational rehabilitation in each of the states that we're in, as well as other DD agencies that might be funded by vocational rehabilitation. And unlike a typical collaboration, we are really like what is called transformational collaboration, because when those 3 parties, those 3 organizations or more come together for Project Search, we create something new. We transform and we create this Project Search program that has resources and staff from each of these organizations, but is almost like a franchise and stands by itself, but is still tethered, if you will, to these organizations. And Project Search is all about the interns, but it's all about these partners as well. Keep going. So we look at, when we first started Project Search, we want it to be sustainable. And that's why I feel that we've been able to grow. So we look at typical funding for a special ed class that might come from a school. We look at typical funding from vocational rehabilitation to fund things like skills training, job coaching, job development. We look at funding from long-term support developmental disability agencies that will help support people to keep their jobs as their jobs transform. So all of those partners are important, not just for their resources, but for their philosophy about putting people with disabilities to work. Like Johnny, and I feel that our work defines us, and we get, especially Americans, we are very tied to our work identity. And I want young people to feel the same way. It's important that they be able to talk about where they work with pride and what kind of work that they do to contribute to society. And I think we've already heard that this morning. All right, the next slide just looks at what is Project Search. What does it look like for that academic year? So we follow the local school calendar wherever we are, whether we're in Louisiana, whether we're in Massachusetts, we follow that local school calendar where the young people come from. And they start in August with an orientation time, onboarding, wayfinding, et cetera. And then they have these 3 separate internships where they're learning those competitive skills. And the whole goal is to complete the program and begin work at that host site. Might be Dow, it might be Cincinnati Children's, it might be a hospital, it might be another manufacturing site, might be a hotel, or out in the community. And we have regular meetings to work with the young people and their team on how they're doing, what successes they're having, what comes next, what are we working on, what skills do we need to develop, both work skills and soft skills. Next slide. So who does what? So the host business gives us access to what we call a business liaison. So it might be somebody in HR, it might be somebody in DEI, might be just a manager of environmental services or patient services. And that person helps us with access to internships and also helps us find a dedicated space for a training room. The education partner or the school hires a full-time special ed instructor, helps us identify potential interns, and contributes resources on a need-by-need basis for interns. So if somebody needs technology, or somebody needs an accommodation, or somebody needs physical therapy, the education partner makes sure that they do that because those students still are in high school, connected to their district. And then state folk rehab funds skills trainers and job coaches, job development, and then again, individualized support that students might need for uniforms, steel-toed shoes, whatever kind of accommodation, maybe an app, maybe a piece of technology that they do. When I think about why do we need partners? My gosh, it's so important to us. First of all, just to be honest, when we need more funding streams to be sustainable, we need to pull funding from different places so that no one agency or organization feels overwhelmed. We're making connections with employers, connections with community organizations. So we're going beyond our boundaries and looking at who else can help us reach our goal of competitive employment for our young people. And it's more marketing opportunities for great candidates for our interns. Additional organizations and sectors just aware of the fact that people with disabilities can go to work in non-traditional ways. And then we meet that diversity, equity, and employment mission for all organizations, whether they're a school, whether they're a large employer, whether they're vocational rehab. That's what we're working to do all the time. So when we started in 1998, and we look to now, how did we grow? All of our partners were excited about this. And I say mostly because sometimes we had to, kind of, especially in the early years, kind of explain what we were doing, why we were doing it. Now we are finding that sometimes we have to switch host businesses, especially because of COVID. A lot of our hospitals haven't been able to welcome us back. And so we are spending a lot of time with some of our existing teams looking for new partners. I'm not going to read through this, but I want to kind of skip down to the end that early results were exciting, and research and the reach that we have now with 48 states, 663 programs are equally exciting. In the early years, we just had a few research articles written about us. Now we have our own research team. So lots and lots of great things are happening with Project Search, and we're very, very excited about it. So where are we? We're still in healthcare. Healthcare is still our biggest industry host business. We started there and we still are there. But you can see things like hospitality, hotels, government, manufacturing, such as Dow. Those are all growing. Distribution centers are really growing. We'll have some programs in Amazon next year, the Boeing Distribution Center, Nike Distribution Center. So a lot of those other kinds of non-traditional industry sectors are really growing. We have a member portal that we're really excited about, and this is kind of what the front page looks like. It has all kinds of resources, staff training, curriculum, etc. But it gives us a ticker, a live ticker all the time. And I just pulled this off of the front page of the member portal. Like I said, we have 663 sites in 48 states and 10 countries. And when we created this tool, we started keeping track of how many young people we had served. We've served a lot more because we started in 1988, but since 2010, we've served over 34,000 young adults. Our next speaker is from Dow, and so I just wanted to kind of give a prep to that we've got Dow project search programs in all of these areas, and of course, in Louisiana. We started in Michigan at the headquarters of Dow in Midland, and now we're at all these wonderful, wonderful places where students are learning really, really great manufacturing and other kinds of skills. Some of these pictures that are in here are from our Dow plant in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, which actually isn't too far from where I am in Cincinnati.
Susie, I got a few questions in the chat before you end your presentation.
Okay.
Do they do this in Louisiana? And so what area are you in?
We're in Plaquemine. So we are at a Dow site in Plaquemine that is a manufacturing area. And I have to confess, I don't know as much of what they do in Plaquemine as what they do in Elizabethtown and Midland. But they do, so for example, in Elizabethtown, one of the things they do is they put paint chip kits together for customers. And they do lots of manufacturing kind of tasks. They package up paint distributors. They do a lot of making paint and different kinds of chemicals like that in Elizabethtown. In Midland, they do some administrative things because that's headquarters, but they're also working in tool cribs. They're working in manufacturing areas. So they work on both productivity and quality and lots of safety issues. Dow, if nothing, is all about safety. And so our students are very, very steeped in the safety protocols at Dow.
How do you get involved with your program? Like if you're not in Plaquemine Parish?
So, like I said, we always need a school partner. So we would need to, if there's a company that's listening and they might like to think about a project search program, my contact information is in a couple of slides. And so we'd love to talk to you, but we would then, our next step would be to look for a local school district that would be interested in partnering as well. Because that's where we would get the students and the staff. Every project search program has at least 2 staff that are on site all the time at that host business, a special education instructor and a skills trainer or a job coach. And then, like I said, we have other corporate sites and hospital chains that are very interested in project search. And these are just a few of them. We're just starting to work with Tesla at their Gigafactory in Nevada. That's really exciting. Hilton has been a wonderful partner for us, Fifth Third Bank. So those are just a few of them. And then if I have time, I'd love to end with this story because, you know, you might remember the statistics, but you probably will remember the story. And this is Sarah, and just a few of the challenges that, someone said, who covers the cost of the 2 employees? The school covers the cost of the instructor, and vocational rehabilitation in each state typically, not always, typically covers the cost of the skills trainer or job coach. And if they don't cover it, then the school does. That's a great question. So anyway, as you can see, Sarah uses a power chair. She was adopted when she was 11 from an orphanage in India, so English is not her first language. She has post-polio, which has affected her hands. So she had some physical as well as just some overall communication challenges, and she was extremely shy. But Sarah wanted to be an admin. That was her goal. And her goal was to be a secretary. And so we found 3 very non-traditional internships that would prepare her for this secretarial job. Her first one was in communication, learning to answer questions, direct people, answer emails, greet people in person. Her second internship was all about the computer. And then her third internship was a marriage between the two in a public lobby where she greeted people, made badges, answered questions, worked a switchboard, and then she was hired into that end job. Between the time she was hired, which is now about 10 years ago, she got a promotion. She now works in HR, and she supports all the HR generalists. She makes appointments for anyone coming in for their interview. She lives independently now from her family. She has somebody come in and get her ready in the morning for work. And other than that, she's totally independent. She takes public transportation to and from work. And she considers people at her work her friends, and they treat her as such. And she has a wonderful life. So just this wonderful story about young people going to work, sort of like Alec earlier, but just wanted to leave you with a great story.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Susie. This is Raheef Alturkmani. I work for Dow, and I've been with Dow since 2016 in HR mostly. Not mostly. All of my career was with Dow is with HR, but I do, in addition to HR, I do inclusion, diversity, and equity from an employee resource group or ERG standpoint. My current role is Senior Talent Acquisition Specialist. My main focus is inclusion, diversity, and equity. So happy to be here, and I look forward to share some of my company's focus on inclusion, diversity, and equity in the people with disabilities area.
Hey, Raheef. I'm sorry,
Jeff.
I had some technical difficulties. I apologize. How you doing today?
Doing well, thank you, Jeff.
I heard a little. I'm so excited to hear you speak, as always, but I heard you have a little personal connection to what you do. Can you tell me a little about it?
Yes, absolutely. And for me personally, I have a diverse background. I am originally from Syria in the Middle East. And I'm sure many of you know how some people perceive Middle Easterns in the United States. They make some stereotypes about them. So personally, it took me a few months. I came to the United States in 2011, and it took me a few months to gain this self-confidence and proudly share who I am and what my background is, regardless of the stereotypes that some people may have about the Middle East. For example, I had and I still have accent, and I'm different, and I'm fine with that. I'm happy with my accent. It tells that I can speak another language. And obviously, I'm not comparing having an accent with having a disability, but it's my point is I am different. So I was able to advocate for myself, and I wanted to advocate for others who have different aspects of diversity, whether it's people with disabilities, whether other other ethnic minorities, veterans, etc. So my passion for inclusion, diversity, and equity started as a personal passion, and luckily through Dow, I was able to deploy this passion in a way that serves talent acquisition and hopefully serves Dow as in general. Now, with people with disabilities, particularly, because it's I think not everyone know, but this is a fact. It's the largest minority group in the United States, but unfortunately, they don't get the equal access to job opportunities. So I took it as a personal and as a professional goal to help within my capacity individuals with or persons with disabilities so they can achieve their career and achieve the goals that they aspire to achieve. And I got more involved in the people with disability hiring initiatives in order to do, which I will talk about a few of these examples. Let's start with the project search here, just to continue what Susie mentioned. So next slide, please. Yep. So I will not talk much about the project, but I will talk about what Dow has achieved. We have 7 sites in 2 countries, and we are considering expanding the program to Canada. So we just started the conversation with the Canada team, and hopefully this will lead to a to broadening this relationship. We have 12 interns who actually ended up being employed by Dow, which is a great example of an internship that leads to full employment. And we have been partnering with Project Search since 2016, and looks like we will continue to have that partnership, because it's a win-win-win for everyone involved in that partnership. We can go to the next slide, which is the Ntid Partnership. So Ntid is the National Technical Institute for the Deaf. It's within the Rochester Institute of Technology. The individuals there are either deaf or hard of hearing. We started this relationship with them back in 2009. And since then, we have about 50 interns interning in multiple functions with Dow, R&D, IT, finance, I believe supply chain as well. So we have in variety of functions. Right now we have 8 full-time employees who converted from interns. So we look at internship as a starting of a lifelong employment, but unfortunately we cannot do it for all interns. But we do have that goal in mind. Like when we have an intern, we consider them as a potential full-time employees. Just today, I actually learned that one of the interns that we had back in 2020 and 2021, they are being considered, they just completed their 3rd interview for the full-time position. So hopefully this number will be even higher. We'll get 9 instead of 8 in the future. The nice thing about this partnership is that it's not only recruitment partnership, it's also resources sharing and the trainings. Right now we have several resources and several trainings that we shared with our recruiters from Ntid and with our people leaders as well. And hopefully in the future with with my role, we'll have to maximize and capitalize on this partnership and relationship with Ntid. We can talk about the next slide. This is an ongoing project. It's the Information Security Services internship. So what's happening with this internship, it's something that we are designing right now. What we are trying to achieve or to seek is finding people with disabilities who have IT degree, but who have been unsuccessful in obtaining a corporate experience because maybe they did not interview well. So what we are planning to do is to have non-traditional interviews. At Dow, we do traditional interviews, so like behavioral based questions, a panel of interviewers, and they ask questions. For this particular internship, we are considering non-traditional could be 2 or even 3 week on the job interview, like they actually do what they are expected to do as full-timers, because the interviewing skills may not be necessarily needed for their role or the job that they will be doing. So this internship, this initiative is supported by the highest level of IT, the Chief Information Technology Officer, and the pilot. They decided to pilot with this smaller group, the Information Security Services, and then hopefully will expand to not only IT function but also to other functions within DAO. So hopefully when we have another webinar like this, maybe 6 months from now, I can tell a story of an intern who interned with DAO through this program. Next slide, please. So as Laura mentioned at the beginning, we wanted this to be an interactive session. So we have this question in chat. What are some ways a company can include the employees with disabilities in developing practices and policies for developing engaging, inclusive company culture? I do have an answer, or not an answer, but my personal perspective on this. But maybe we can hear from the audience in chat and see if they have any comments or any answers to that before I give mine. Maybe I can share mine. So some ways that we do it at DAO is through the DEN ERG. So DEN, Disability Employee Network ERG. We have a lot of events that are conducted or implemented by DEN. They bring external speakers. They have internal DAO speakers. I remember I participate in an event where we titled it "Coming Out." I know "coming out" term is used in the GLAD more often, but we had a spin for it, and it was coming out as a person with a hidden disability, sharing the fact that they have a disability with colleagues, and that made their life much easier. During that event, it was very personal, very emotional. We learned a lot, and it made us appreciate the fact that DAO has this platform for colleagues with disabilities, so they can share their personal insights. Looks like we have.
I got a question for you.
Yes, go ahead.
Let's talk about the training curve. Is there anything that y'all do different to train these individuals to get them up to speed, or is that a concern?
So training for individuals, like in a certain program, or a DAO in general?
At DAO in general.
Yes, so training, that's a very, and I assume you're talking about training related to
yes,
onboarding, hiring, including people with disabilities. We know that we have an opportunity there. We have a lot of training material that is out there for employees and people leaders. But what we think the situation that we have so much training material that people are distracted and they don't know exactly where to start from. So right now we're looking at the content, and we're personally I'm leading this people with disability hiring task force, which I will talk about in a few minutes here. In the task force, what we're doing, we are looking at the training that is available for people leaders. The goal is to condense everything, resources, training, in a one-pager with links, of course, to what these programs or trainings are, and make this one-pager available and divide it by the steps of the application to hire process. So interviewing, onboarding, offering onboarding, and including people with disability. So we do have, to answer your question, Jeff, we do have training, but we are redesigning the way that we are delivering this training. For recruiters, I have a connection with the Michigan Rehab Services, and they will be coming on next month actually to deliver training for recruiters on screening candidates and also on general disability etiquette. We have a lot of new hires at Dow, new talent acquisition and recruiters team members. So we thought the timing is perfect. So training is definitely a topic that we are looking at. Now to the task force. I formed this task force late last year, and it's a partnership between talent acquisition and then ERG, the Disability Employee Network. The purpose is to help Dow hire and attract more people with disability for hopefully a lifetime employment. But what we realized is before we go out to hire more, we have some improvements that we can do internally first. The training example is one of them. So we are working in parallel, internally and externally. One example that we worked on internally under one of the pillars of the task force is publishing quarterly articles about certain type or types of disability, and publish this on the Dow's intranet page so people are aware of these types of disabilities. For last quarter, we published about deaf and hard of hearing, and the feedback that we received from recruiters, employees, and people leaders was overwhelming. How positive they perceived this article, because it was posted on the Dow's intranet front page, just like any significant Dow news that we have. It was there, and this shows the focus on trying to be more inclusive toward people with disabilities. It's these small things that you do that conveys a message to the employees and to the colleagues with disability. So with accommodations, it's a topic that is managed and run by another department, but I do have involvement based on my role. We have a accommodation process, a formal accommodation process that any employee at any point they can request accommodation. The HR partner will get involved, and depending if it's a physical accommodation or technical or technological accessibility accommodation, it decides who will be involved. Sometimes we get the health services involved, sometimes we get IT department involved, but we handle these accommodations very seriously and very professionally. We do want all of our colleagues to be able to achieve and work and provide them with the tools, the resources, the accommodations that they need so they can be successful at what they are doing. I think we can move to the next slide. So this is kind of summary of some of the activity initiatives that we do. I'm gonna choose a few of them and talk about them. In Talent Acquisition Committee, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but Disability In formed last year this Talent Acquisition Committee where talent acquisition professionals get together and talk and share knowledge and resources and learnings. So I serve in that along with another colleague, and every time I learn something from that committee, I would bring it back to the talent acquisition team through what we call inclusion moments. So we start each and every team meeting, not only within talent acquisition, not only within HR, but across Dow. We started with a safety moment and an inclusion moment. As Susie mentioned, safety is a huge focus and big priority for Dow, such as inclusion. So I take those learnings I have the opportunity and share with the talent acquisition team. We have, as I mentioned, the DEN ERG events host almost every month, and I'm just talking United States, although DEN is a global ERG, but in the United States, I would say we host one event every other month, and it depends on the topic, the month that we are in, and we share those learnings and personal experiences with the audience. Training for recruitment, I've touched on that briefly. It's scheduled to be next month, and that's the key point with the training is the partnership with MRS, the Michigan Rehab Services, because it's hopefully it will be a beginning for a long-term partnership for more collaboration in the future. I'm gonna, I think, pause here and see if any of you have, or maybe I have a next slide. Can you go to the next slide, please? Yes, this is, I mentioned ERG, then it's is 1 out of 10 ERGs that Dow has, and you can see them listed here. I personally lead the Middle East and North Africa intercultural network. I lead it globally, and I lead it in North America. You don't have to be of a Middle Eastern descent to join the Middle Eastern North Africa network. You don't have to be disabled or have a disability to join the Disability Employee Network. You can join any of these ERGs, and in fact, our people leaders are required to at least join one of these 10 ERGs. So it's a requirement for people leaders. For employees, it's optional, but it's highly encouraged, and we have large percentage of our colleagues joining at least one of these ERGs. And usually we would recommend joining 2 ERGs, one that they affiliate with and one that they do not affiliate with or not comfortable with, talking about that group, or they don't know much about that group. So they truly learn about that particular ERG.
Raheef, can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
What do you see? What's the culture like as a result of hiring people with disabilities?
I think it will be great addition to the culture. It will show Dow's commitment, and I'm just talking about Dow, right? It will show Dow commitment toward inclusion, diversity, and equity. We talk about DE&I all the time. We have events about inclusion, diversity, and equity. We put it in our website. How can we prove that? Is by actually hiring people with diverse backgrounds, hiring people with disabilities, hiring people who are veterans from the LGBTQ community, truly targeting and hiring candidates and talents from all communities. And I do have some my personal perspective about people with disability versus people with no disability, if I may, because to me it's basically one group. Because maybe today I don't have a disability, but tomorrow I may have a disability, or I may become a father of a kid with disability. So to me it's not two distinct group, it's basically one group. I do realize that there are a lot of challenges facing the current people with disabilities community, and that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, and Daud is doing what it's doing. But the mindset that I have and that I try to share with my colleagues is then and people with disability is different from any other ERG that you see here, in my personal opinion. Because with the Middle East, for example, I'm of a Middle East descent. I will not be something else. I will not be of an American descent or a US descent. But with people with disability, it could be, right now I'm not, tomorrow I could be a person with disability. So the association, the affiliation that I feel is a little bit different with people with disability, is a little bit different from the affiliation with MENA. Hopefully my point is clear.
Raheef, I got one more question. I know we're at the end of your presentation, but
Sure.
you talked about what really hit me. You talked about these inclusion moments.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they come from? Do they come from people without, people with, your staff? And
Yep.
give me an example of an inclusion moment.
Yes, great question. So it evolved from the safety moment aspect. So DAO has always focused on inclusion, diversity, and equity, but it was not until 2017 that it like a priority. Back in 2019, we came up with the four ambition, or the DAO ambition, to be the most innovative, inclusive, customer-centric, sustainable material science company in the world. So it's one of four main ambitions that DAO has, and that's why we started to have to put inclusion, diversity, and equity as a top priority. This was reflected on many aspects of what we do, including adding the topic of inclusion moment. And it was a suggestion, I think, by a colleague in the IT department, who, instead of sharing a safety moment, he shared an inclusion moment because it was kind of related to safety, and then it just got adapted by other teams, and it became kind of a practice across DAO. Two inclusion moments that I remember sharing. One was during the Disability Awareness Month. So I shared that and explained some of the history behind it with my talent acquisition team members. Another one was about some myths and facts about people with disability. So it was like a form of a quiz that I asked the colleagues to comment in chat whether they think a statement is a true or false, or a myth or fact, just to get some knowledge shared with the colleagues. So it's usually 3, 4, 5 maybe up to 7 minutes at the beginning of the meeting, but it helps sharing information, educate colleagues, and also keep the inclusion topic as a priority.
Thank you, Raheef. That was awesome.
Thank you.
I really respect that, and I love the program, and I wish you all the success in the world. We heard a lot of good stuff today. Can I invite all our panelists to turn their camera on? Let's do like a brief Q&A. We'll kind of wrap it up. And before we begin, I want to invite you to look at the agenda for the upcoming seminars. And I really heard a lot of good stuff, but the one thing that sticks out to me is, where do we go from here? You know, I would like to each panelist, if they would like to, tell me what you think we can do more of or better of to really make this a focus. Start with you, Alec.
Definitely. Like I said earlier, just focus on the ability and what they can do, and not on what they can't do.
I can go next. I think forming some type of a task force will help. I've seen this helping me a lot with what I'm trying to achieve. You have a group of people who are knowledgeable and passionate about the topic. You can, if you have a certain project, you can divide and conquer. You can use the network of the task force members to advocate for an initiative that you are trying to do, maybe get some funding, maybe get some support, distribute, spread the word about an event that the task force is implementing or conducting. So forming some type of a task force that is not part of HR specifically, because in the task force that I lead, we have 3 from HR, and the rest are from the remaining 8 or the remaining 5 are from different functions. So forming task force would, in my opinion, will help.
Raheef, I owe you an apology. I've been mispronouncing your name. I do apologize.
It's
Raheef,
okay.
one thing I love is the whole task force idea, because, you know, we need to know what we're thinking, and we need to know what people without disabilities are thinking about us in order for us to collaborate. Johnny, what's on your mind about what we can do to move forward in this whole employment deal?
Well, I think we definitely have to reach more employers to get them aware of this untapped potential of employees. You know, kind of, for instance, we recently partnered with Our Lady Hospital. That took me 18 months. Now, of course, COVID was a big part of it, but there's other little bit more corporate type places in the local area, and you've got to go from one level to this level to another level before it's blessed and you can actually bring people in. I wish, some more of our local employers were more open, and because it's not so difficult when you don't have to go through multi-levels of management to get approval for that. And maybe we should have a conference for employers that are interested in working with young people or people in general with disabilities for more inclusion. And but for now, for me, it's just one at a time, reaching out to them as I can. And usually it's that person has some sort of a connection to the special needs community, a family member, a friend of a friend, something. And that's how I've been able to network and be successful in adding employers.
And something I'm real big on is to talk to. So let's make this a talking point. Let's talk about employment in the disability field, in the DD community, and outside of the DD community. It's really critical that this is a topic that's on the radar every day. How about you, Miss Susie?
Thanks, Jeff. I think kind of like Raheef, not just a task force for us, but kind of small business advisory communities or business advisory committees in the areas where we have project search programs. We have about 25% of our host businesses hiring our students, but then the rest of the students also need employers to hire them in the communities. So it's really trying to find those. Sorry about that feedback. Trying to find employers that recognize the gifts and talents of these young people because they've had a year of training. And we are also asking our host businesses like Dow to help reach out to the community to find those other employers to hire all of our young people.
And for me, it's about not being complacent. I mean, time after time, I hear we're doing good, but we still need jobs. So it's about making that achievement, but not stopping there. As it results to employment, you know, I get a job, but what's next? I was talking to, Johnny about this. What's the next step for Jeff? What's the next step for Alec? Do I want to be promoted? Am I okay with where I am? Well, that's a decision that I want to make. I want to know that if I get in there and I do my job to do, and I make what you want me to make, that there might be a promotion in the motion. Do y'all agree with that?
Yes.
Definitely.
Yes, sir.
One of my biggest downfalls, and I'm proud of this downfall, then we'll move on, is I'm always want more. And for me, that's kind of why I'm where I am today, because I'm motivated, I'm driven, and that's where we need to get. I really thought this seminar was powerful. Please, let's do our part in putting it into action. And if you have any closing remarks on how we can move forward, please send them. Look at the upcoming seminars on the agenda. And I really want to thank each and every one of these panelists. I, for one, learned a lot and kind of critique myself why I did not know about these programs. But that's on me, you know. That's taking the ownership of. At this time, I want to invite Laura to come on.
Thank you, everybody. This was a really rich discussion. I'm so thankful for this panel. You all represented this topic so well. I think we asked a lot of hard questions. One of the most important parts of this, and I think I've learned on this really steep curve of learning that I've been on myself in producing the series, is this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. And I kind of want to leave today with that thought that incrementally we're moving, and each one of you talked about different things that you are doing different steps that you're making that are contributing to that movement and getting to that next place. So I really appreciate everyone so much on the panel. I also want to thank so much all of the attendees for interacting. We had some really great questions that came through. We're going to be on here for another minute. I'm going to go through a couple things here, but feel free, please put any other questions that you have, whether they're directly to one of the panel members, maybe it's directly to one of the, to Alec or to Jeff. In their lived experience, you may have a question for them as well. But I'm going to close out here with a couple things, so please do put your questions in. We will have a follow-up. We've had a couple of questions about whether you might receive the PowerPoint. In addition to the PowerPoint, you will receive post-event information. That's going to include the website. And I want you to keep that website link with you because that's going to grow throughout the series. You have the ability to access any of our content from March all the way through June. So if you can't attend or maybe registered and you can't actually attend one of those sessions, you'll be able to go and find the archived link of the session. Please share not only the registration information, but share that content with a friend or colleague. Let them know that they can go and access that as a kind of a just-in-time resource. They can go whenever it's convenient to them to that website. I believe that Kinsey has put that registration link up. And as I mentioned, that's not just for the sake of registration, it is also for the sake of accessing the content from these seminars. Again, this is our schedule. I want to remind you that Thursday, we're going to be doing a repeat of this session today. So please share that with your colleagues and friends. We also have a really great session coming up in May, which is around accommodations. Raheef started that conversation, but we will be continuing that conversation with a lot more detail on May 17th and 19th. In June, we're going to get in some details about benefits and retention plans. That's going to be really key. We're going to talk about ABLE accounts. And then June, in the very end of June on the 21st, that's going to really be kind of our celebration, our keynote. It's going to be Sue Killam from LSU. And we're also going to do some breakout rooms where we can do some networking as well. So we don't want you to miss that. I do want, as we close out today, again, to say my thank yous. If you'd like to share in the chat something specific that you really learned today, we love the idea that when you learn something, you can use it immediately. Please share what you may plan to use and maybe something you have to share with a colleague, a family member, or maybe someone that you've talked to that owns a business. You may be able to continue to share that information about how they might employ people with disabilities and kind of get that ball rolling. And so please take a minute to share that as we close out. We'll look and see if there's any other questions. But again, thank you so much for your attendance today, and we look forward to seeing you again at the next session. The panel, you guys can stay on for just a minute as we close out, see if there's any questions. Kinsey will let us know if we missed anything. Kinsey, on your end, can you save the chat? I think you have the ability to do that as a host, because there may be some things in there we can share. Okay, I know you guys have work to do, so we're going to close out the session. I really appreciate such great content. I even more, I really loved the conversations and the stories that you guys shared today. I know that we're back at it on Thursday. Susie, I think it's correct that you don't have the capacity to do that session, correct?
I do not. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I think what we'll probably do is when we shared the content for Thursday, I have the ability to just kind of edit out your portion from today, and we'll share that with the archive version on Thursday. So folks have the project search information that you shared.
Okay, thanks.
Anybody have any other questions? You'll use the same link for Thursday, and we'll just do it. We'll hit repeat.
I want to thank everybody. And again, Raheef, I do apologize for the name mishap.
No worries at all, Jeff. No worries at
All
all.
right.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have
Thanks,
a good
Laura, for the opportunity.
I'll
Absolutely.
see y'all
See you.
Thursday. Susie, nice talking to you.
Y'all have a
Thank
great
you.
day.
Too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.